Hi everyone, welcome to e-learning. So today we're going to be doing some grade 7 EMS. Our focus is on term 3, the entrepreneur. So our topic is on understanding businesses and budgeting. So the purpose of me doing this video is to help you prepare for Entrepreneurship Day, which you'll be doing in term 3, and also to provide some notes for you so you can learn. Be a constructive learner where you construct your knowledge and not a passive learner. A passive learner basically, when they grow up, they become workers. But a constructive learner, when they grow up, they construct their own knowledge, they learn how to solve problems, and most of them become entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs is basically people that work for themselves. Okay, so let's look at what an entrepreneur is. It's somebody who starts and runs their own business. Now, when you start and you run your own business, you take a risk and you see an opportunity and you decide, okay, no, I want to do that. Okay, then you basically want to make a profit because obviously when you invest in something, you need to see returns because you are an individual yourself and you have expenses, so you must take care of your expenses, and you can only do that through the profit that you make. Now, also, an entrepreneur basically helps the economy grow by creating jobs. So they basically not only look out for themselves, but they look out for other people because they create employment for other people. Now, an entrepreneur basically has certain characteristics, and this is a great test question as well, because in the exam I can ask you, um, explain or give three characteristics of an entrepreneur and explain what each one means. So here, what you're going to do is you're going to say, what is an entrepreneur? Okay, but before we go to that, let's look at what a characteristic means and what a skill is. So, characteristics basically is who you are, it defines who you are, it is all your attitudes that make up your personality. So, for example, if you're going to say, I'm an honest person, I'm a confident person, it's your personality trait. So, always in class, I tell my children, conduct yourself in a manner that defines who you are. So will people say, oh no, this person I want to deal with because that person is a good person. Okay, so how you act basically makes people believe who you are. That is how they perceive you to be. Okay, right. Now, a skill is something that you've learned. It is something that you can do well in. And if you can't do well in it, it's basically you can train yourself by improving yourself, and you can do that with practice, right? So practice makes perfect. Now, an entrepreneur is creative, they're hardworking, they're a problem solver, they are confident, and they are a risk taker. Now, to be creative means that you must have new ideas. If you see something, you can say, oh no, I can make this work. Okay, they're hardworking because they put a lot of effort into whatever they do. They don't look at things and say, "Oh no, I can't do this, I give up." They see things, they find solutions, so they are a good problem solver, okay? They believe in themselves, they have that I can do attitude, so they're confident people. And they are a risk taker. They can say they're brave enough to say, I'm gonna try it, I'm gonna do it. So these are the characteristics that an entrepreneur needs to have. Now, the skills that they need to have is basically they need to have good communication skills. They need to be good at talking to people. They need to motivate people to do certain things. And this comes into play where they need to have good leadership qualities because they're going to have people working for them. So they need to guide their team and motivate their team to work and to do certain things. They need to have good planning abilities and good financial management skills. Now, these two work hand in hand, like how the communication skill and the leadership worked hand in hand. The planning and the financial management skills need to work hand in hand. They need to organize what needs to be done. They must be able to um, uh, uh, be good with their money as well. Now, planning means that they need to put everything down, list everything, what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, why it needs to be done, when it needs to be done. And with their financial records, they also need to plan that as well to see how they can use it and study the statistics of their income and expenditure and see when they're doing well, when they're not doing well, and how they can improve their business, okay, by looking at the statistics. Now, what do entrepreneurs do? They buy, they produce, they sell, and they make a profit. And I'm going to explain that into more detail with you a little later on. But first, let's look at um, a little school scholar who decided for Entrepreneurship Day he wanted to sell lemonade. So what did he do? He bought lemon, sugar, and cups. So he bought materials, he bought items. Then he made lemonade. That is something that he produced. Now he needed to sell it for 5 rand. So he sold it to his customers and he wanted to make a profit. So he took all the money that he made, subtracted it from all the expenses, which was his lemons, his sugar, and his cups. And he made this lemonade stand, which was also his expense. And you can see that he put a lot of effort into making it because he is dressed well, which means he's professional. He put a umbrella over his stand, and it's well organized, and it's neat, and it's attractive. So he's got good business management skills because he cares about his customers, and he wants his customers to come again. So he advertised his lemonade stand very well. So an entrepreneur basically buys things at a low price and they sell it at a higher price to make a profit. Okay. So now, what when we buy things, what do we need to run to operate our business? That is, we need capital. So capital means you can either save money to start your business or you can submit a business plan to a business proposal to your bank and they'll lend you the money to start your business. So with the things that you need to buy equipment, you need to buy furniture, computers, machines, cars for transport so that your business can run comfortably. Then you need to buy the raw materials, like, and this caters for all the different businesses. So some businesses are going to buy products like wood, nails, fabric, furniture, or they're going to buy plants if you're going to have a nursery, or anything, clothing if you're going to have a clothing store, or so you need to buy things. Then you're going to produce things. So if you're going to produce things, you need to have raw materials. So you're going to turn these raw materials into something that you're going to sell. Now, selling things, you can decide, am I offering a service business or am I offering a good producing business where you're going to sell products? Now, when you're going to sell things, you need to advertise them. You need to explain to your customers how it works and how it's going to benefit them. So you're going to need to keep your customers happy. So you need to advertise well and offer good customer services so your customers come back to you. All right. Then you're going to make a profit. And I explained that to you earlier in the earlier slides where you're going to use your profit to run your own private expenses. So you need to have good financial records, your income, your expenses, and keep all records of that. So we're going to move on to wholesalers and retailers. And just from the pictures, you can pause the video, explain to yourself what a wholesaler and retailer is, and then compare it to my definitions. So a wholesaler, they buy in big amounts, they sell to other businesses, they sell at lower prices, and they sell in bulk. A retailer, they basically sell to the customer, which is a consumer, which is you. And they buy in smaller amounts. They put a high markup on the profit on the products they're going to buy to make a profit. And retailers are basically like Checkers or Spaza shops and things like that. So we have, you can see, we have the manufacturer, from the manufacturer makes the products. Then the wholesaler buys the products in bulk. The retailer buys it from the wholesaler and they sell it to the consumer, which is you, and you the end user, you the public. So if I want to show you pictures of that, so that's the manufacturer, that's the wholesaler, that's the retailer, and that is you, the consumer, okay, in your home. So now the different types of businesses, service businesses and goods producing businesses. Service businesses offer things, a service that they do for other people. So this is intangible, things that you cannot see or touch. And examples of those are hairdressers, doctors, taxi drivers, teachers, gardeners. They offer services. So good producing businesses are intangible things. These are things that you can touch and see. Now, these are physical items that are products like cakes in a bakery, clothing in a clothing store, furniture that a furniture maker produces. Now, there's two types of businesses. You get a formal business and an informal business. So a formal business is basically a registered business with the government, and they pay tax and they have a fixed address like First National Bank or Pick and Pay. And then the informal businesses, people that operate at home, or a street vendor that sells mealies, or somebody braiding hair at home. Now, when you decide on a business, you need to decide on people's needs and wants. Who do you want to cater for, and what do you want to cater for? What are you selling? Are you selling a need, or are you selling a want? Or what service are you providing for? Is it for a need or for a want? So needs are basically things that people need to survive. Are you catering for food, for water, for shelter, for clothing, or are you catering for their wants like a new phone or chocolate? Okay, right. So now let's look at budgeting and businesses. Now, why do you think budgeting is important? So it's important because you want to know how you want to spend the money that you have earned. Now we're going to look at Mrs. Brown's story and Mrs. September's story, which are two different stories. So Mrs. Brown is a single mother. She did not finish high school and she works part-time at Gatti Ice Cream and she receives an income of 3,000 Rand. She has two young children and she sends them to school. And these two young children, she gets SASSA grant from, which is 560 Rand. Now she lives in a government supported area and she pays rent of 400 Rand a month. Then her electricity is 1,000 Rand and her household expenses with food is 2,000 Rand. Now, my question to you, I have two questions. The first question I'm going to ask you now, and the second question a little later. Does she have enough money to spend on clothing and luxuries and other expenses? So let's look at a budget. So you learned this in term two. So we put all her expenses, income, and now we're going to list all her expenses. And we take our income minus her expenses, which gives her profit, and she has 750 Rand left. Now, my second question to you, is this money sufficient to last her the whole month? And does it cater for unexpected life occurrences? Okay, we need to think about this. And also think about the scenario about how she didn't focus in school. Now, Mrs. September's story, she was also a single mom and she also has two children, but she worked hard at school. And because she worked hard at school, she obtained a bursary and she went to university and she got a degree in business management. So she decided to start a cookie business called Mouthful. And she started selling it in her community first. And then later she saw an opportunity and she said, okay, no, now I'm going to approach SPAR to help me grow my business. So after all her expenses, she said, I'm going to draw a monthly salary and my monthly salary is going to be 30,000 Rand, from which I'm going to buy myself a nice house to live in, which so she pays a home loan and it's 13,000 Rand, and she sends her children to good well-resourced schools, and each child she pays 2,000 Rand each per month. And then she spends 5,000 Rand on her household food and expenses and electricity. It's 3,000 Rand with her at the end. Now, my question is to you, how much money does she left over? So here's her monthly budget. So we listed all her income. Now we listed all her expenses and we totaled that up and we subtracted it and she has 5,000 Rand left. Now you can see the amount of money that's left between Mrs. Brown and Mrs. Smith, and you decide what type of life you want to lead. Do you want to be somebody like Mrs. Brown or Mrs. September? And it is the effort that you put into your studies. Hope you liked my video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in my next video. Bye, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.